Today I'd like to discuss the word dichotomy. Like I mentioned in my previous videos, and it's ironically I should be doing humor, my infatuation for abstract words versus concrete. Concrete has its relevance, of course, but I'm an abstract linguistic fanatic. There's words like dichotomy. The term dichotomy, let's not look at it from a prefix or suffix perspective. Let's look at the word directly. It is denotational value. Dichotomy is the partitioning or the polarization of a whole into two contrasting or opposing parts, making them mutually exclusive, all encapsulated within a whole. Take my glasses off. You hear me? I'm going to say it again. Dichotomy is the partitioning of a whole, polarization or into two contrasting or opposing parts. It's the extrapolation of a whole, making that mutually exclusive, all encapsulated within a whole. Now, my pet peeve is, my contention here is not within the concept of dichotomy itself. Within its denotational or its connotational value. I'm looking at the term dichotomy in a paradoxical sense, because the word dichotomy is a dichotomy is a paradox. And I hope you all know what paradox means, because I don't care to explain it. A dichotomy is a paradox. It is an abstract paradox. If you take a whole and you partition it into two contrasting or opposing parts in this form of in polarity or polarization, whichever word, I don't know, and they become mutually exclusive, all encapsulated within a whole, it is a paradox because there is a kind of contradiction within the whole. You cannot have mutual exclusivity within the parameters of a whole. That is a paradoxical abstract scenario. So dichotomy is a paradox. It's funny how we are oblivious to the paradoxical situation within the idea or the concept of a dichotomy. Then you have trichotomy, which is the partitioning of a whole, which is self-explanatory, the partitioning of a whole into triple mutual exclusivity, opposing contrasting parts. But we're not dealing with we're not looking at things from a trichotomic perspective. We look at things from a dichotomic perspective. A dichotomy is a paradox. It's a paradox, and you all know what a paradox is. When a statement that has when two sentences within a contextual statement contradicts itself, but it can also be true, could also be false, but there's a level of contradiction within the contextuality of a statement. That is a paradoxical scenario from a linguistic perspective. There's multiple paradoxical situations, paradoxical scenarios, which is the same thing I probably just said twice. Right? But the term concept itself, a dichotomy is a paradox. And I would like to see a paradigm, a linguistic paradigms. I would like to see a revolutionary paradigm within the field of linguistics from an abstract perspective. And that is dissecting the inconsistencies of abstract terminologies in linguistics and dissecting their flaws. Just like you have here's a primary example coming from a completely opposite perspective is incongruous juxtaposition, which is a merging of the incompatible, placing two things that are completely incompatible side by side and hopefully finding a single common denominator they share. That's incongruous juxtaposition. Dichotomy is quite the opposite, taking a completely different approach, which is the partitioning of a whole. Then you have two separate things. There's no paradoxical scenario within the context of incongruity. There is no paradoxical scenario involved there. It's self-explanatory. Here you have a contrasting scenario and it's merged. Resolution is resolved when you find a way to resolve the commonality between the two opposing concepts by finding a single common denominator they share and merging them, meshing them into a single entity. A dichotomy is quite a paradoxical scenario. That's all I wanted to share. My next video will be discussing paradigms, or polarization and polarity, incongruity, ambiguity. I like my ambiguity. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Hey, if you don't understand this video, the problem is not me. It's you.